Okay, hi there. Dr. Sandhu here from Bedford Chiropractic Clinic. I'm with an amazing guy called Flavio. Now, Flavio, how old are you?
19.
19 years old. And in 2020, something happened. What happened?
Yeah, I had a disc protrusion in my L5-S1 disc.
Okay, so disc protrusion, for those of you who don't know, a disc protrusion is when a disc, vertebral disc, basically gets a tear in it, and when it gets a tear in it, what happens then is that the middle part of it starts to leak out and begins to leak out that way. Now, looking at Flavio's MRI scan, what it is doing is actually it's leaking out that way into his canal, which is not a good thing at 16.
Yeah.
Okay, and now you're 19.
19.
Now, the reason that Flavio has managed to sort of get away in the sense of sort of his back has not been a problem for him is because he's been really sensible. He's been doing something called the McGill 3 exercises.
Yeah.
Right? And now Stuart McGill was a chiropractor, and then he went in to become a researcher, and he knows more about the human biomechanics and spine than not many people out there. So he's incredible, absolutely incredible. And on YouTube, you have access to videos of him presenting those exercises and talking about how you can prevent sort of back problems, how you can prevent disc herniations. Now, disc herniations generally tend to happen between your teens, and obviously 16 is very rare, but in your teens, up to about 35, 40, because the disc is moist, it's sort of flexible, and it's likely to tear. After that, it becomes a bit more fibrous, a bit more sort of tougher. So then what happens is that it's much, much more difficult to tear. So some goods and some bad points of both, really. But it is the way it is. We have to deal with it, and that's part of being human. Now, what we're talking about here is we're talking about sort of various muscles. Now, Flavio, how many times a week do you train?
I like to do one session a day. Most of the time I like to do two.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2 sessions a day, you do weights.
Yeah, I do
and
weights.
You do mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously sort of you compete as well, by the way, don't you?
Yeah, I compete as well.
Okay, good. So tell us about what you've won, because you've won some things.
Yeah, I've won a load of inter clubs. I fought amateur a few times, some jiu-jitsu comps. Yeah, I really enjoy it, but obviously these injuries sort of holding me back a little bit.
Holding you back,
yeah.
Absolutely. So guys, you know, chiropractic is not just for when you're in pain and you're basically doing household chores or you're just an office worker. Okay, this is for sports people as well. The majority of the American athletics team had a chiropractor, a personal chiropractor, who went to the Olympics with them, right? Because the Americans realized the benefit of chiropractic. Arnold Schwarzenegger, a famous personality in bodybuilding, he actually went to see a chiropractor in his heyday every single day. Why? Because he realized that there is an importance to chiropractic. Now, let me just share something with you. Bear with me. So the human body consists of 12 miles of brain that connect to every single cell in your body. And we have roughly about 37 odd trillion of them. So the brain controls everything. So when this message from the brain, which is connected into the body through these beautiful vertebrae, the spine, 34 of them, right? If that fuse box, as I called it, a fuse box, if that fuse box is damaged or in any way locked up, then obviously that connection is going to not be as strong as it should be. For example, if you have a water pipe and you put a foot on it, the water is not going to come up as very strongly, is it? Take the foot off the water pipe and it may, amazingly, the water is now pouring out. Well, it's the same with the electric signal that the brain is sending out to every single muscle, cell, tissue, organ in the body. So if this vertebra is jammed up, right, or damaged, as in Flavio's case, then absolutely there's going to be a short circuit there where the message is not getting through. So just to remind you, Flavio trains twice a day. He does weights and he does mixed martial arts. Okay, so we're going to test some of his muscles. Well, firstly, we're going to test his sitting posture. So if you just sit up for me a moment and just come to the end. So what we're doing is we're just doing a core sort of strength test here. So lift this knee up and push up, and there's no core stability there at all. He trains twice a day, okay, and trains really well, has won competitions. On your back for me. Now, this is not to sort of put Flavio down, because what he's doing is incredible, and what he's achieved with the damage he's got in his back is incredible. But if we test his hip flexor, it looks good. It looks good, but if we test the other hip flexor, which I call the low back pain muscle, by the way, hold it there, push up, there's no power. And there's no power. And Flavio, you're trying hard?
Yeah, I'm trying hard, yeah.
Yeah. And push up for me that way. And push out for me that way. And there's no power. And yet, here we have a young man who is physically fit, is doing all the right things, but regrettably, the muscles are not activating, which is what you said.
Yeah.
And you were absolutely right. Now, the muscle we're testing here is the psoas muscle, right? That's the muscle that we tested here. Now, this is such an important muscle because, as Flavio mentioned, it attaches into the discs of the lumbar spine here. It also attaches into the hip. So it's a connector of your lumbar spine to your ilium and to your hip joint as well. It's a pretty damn important muscle, and it performs a very important function. But because of the connection into the spine and to the discs, if it's tight, what's it going to be doing?
Put strain on your back.
On your back,
yeah,
exactly. It's going to be creating an instability into your lumbar spine, which means then that if you then sort of overexert it, try to sort of push it more than it can go because it's tight, right, then you're in trouble. And all of a sudden, bam, you've damaged your back. And deadlifts are one of the things that can help them. Now, you mentioned something about David Goggin. Would you just talk about that?
To be fair, the only reason I know about this muscle is because I follow David Goggins quite a bit, and he says a lot of his issues stemmed from his hip flexor muscle.
Absolutely.
He had back problems, and he said it was that muscle.
Absolutely. Now, David Goggins, just for people who don't know, who is he?
He's an ex-Navy SEAL, did ultra running, marathons, very active guy, does weights a lot of times a week, just a machine really.
Yeah, absolute machine.
Yeah.
And he does, as you said, ultra marathons and everything else.
Yeah.
But he puts a lot of his benefit or his lack of sort of pain because he works on this muscle. Such an important muscle. I can't stress it enough. I personally call it the low back pain muscle. Really, really encourage you to sort of do some stretching for it. And because let me just show you something, okay? This is not a trick, by the way, all right? But if I stimulate that muscle and lift this leg up for me now and push up. Wow. Yeah? So you can see that just stimulating the muscle, right, activates it, wakes it up. And obviously, that's not going to last for long because all I did was I just stimulated it. But once I treat Flavio, right, then we will fix it. But he has to do the work as well. He has to do the stretches. And there are so many psoas stretches out there. Check them out on YouTube, okay? Guys, if you go to my website, bedford-chiropractor.co.uk, you'll find sort of, it's the first exercise on my recommended exercise video. Go and have a look. Check them out, okay? Because there's some other 11 minutes of other exercises that would be exceptionally beneficial for you. But this muscle stretch is the #1 stretch on my video. Flavio, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Okay? I really appreciate you doing that, okay? Because I think it's important that people out there understand, right, that chiropractic is not just for when you're sort of an office worker or you're a little bit older. It is for the young as well, and especially if you're athletic. If you want to maximize the potential of your body and you don't want to get injured, you need to see a chiropractor. Obviously, the Bedfordshire community, I'm here, Bedford Chiropractic Clinic, Dr Sandhu. If you're anywhere else, go and find a local chiropractor to you. Make sure they're registered with the General Chiropractic Council and then go and see them. You'll be in safe hands if they are, okay? So thank you so much. Thank you again, Flavio. God bless you. Remember, there is no greater wealth than health. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, all the other social media platforms, and watch some YouTube videos. We've got lots of them showing you some exercises, showing some other beneficial, useful stuff. Thank you so much. Have a great day.